58 verses.
or 58 verses. Yeah, thank you. So 58 verses, and we can actually do at least, we have total of 10 people, so at least we can do even 5 each. That would be great. So I will start off, and this is chapter 7, the son of Drona punished. Does anyone need the Bhagavatam, Canto 1 book, or do you have database opened up?
We all have, I think. I have.
Okay.
I have the books, Mataji.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So chapter 7, the son of Drona punished. Text 1. Shaunakuvacha Nirgate narade sutta bhagavan padarayanaha shrutam tadabhi abhipretam tatah kim akrod vibhuhu. Translation. Rishi Shaunaka asked, O Sutta, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasadeva heard everything from Sri Narad Muni. So after Narada's departure, what did Vyasadeva do? Text 2. Sutta Uvacha Brahmanatyam Sarasvatyam Ashramaha Paschime State Shamya Prasa Iti Prokta Rishinam Satravardhanaha. Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sri Sutta said, on the western bank of the river Saraswati, which is intimately related with the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation at Samyakrasa, which enlivens the transcendental activities of the sages. Text 3. Tasmin swa ashrame vyaso badari shanda mandite asinopa upasprashya pranidadhyo manaha swayam. Translation. In that place, Srila Vyasadeva in his own ashrama, which was surrounded by berry trees, sat down to meditate after touching water for purification. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak prani hite male apashyat purusham purnam mayam jatad apashrayam. Thus he fixed his mind, perfectly engaging it by linking it in devotional service, bhakti yoga, without any tinge of materialism. And thus he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control. Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam paropi manutenartham tatkritam jabhipadyate. Due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the 3 modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. Does someone want to read the next 5?
Mataji, I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
Text 6. Anarthopasamam sakshad bhakti yogam adhokshaje lokashyajanato vidvas chakre satvata samhitam. Translation. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people who do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature. This is in relation to the Supreme Truth. Yasyam vai shruya manayam krishne parama purushe bhaktir utpadyate pumsaha shoka moha bhayapaha. Translation. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Text 8. Sa samhitam bhagavatim vanukramaya chat mana chat majam sukham sukham adhyapayam asa nivritti niratam muniha. Translation: the great sage Vyasadeva, after compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam and revising it, taught it to his own son, Sri Sukadeva Goswami, who was already engaged in self-realization. Kaunaka Uvacha Savai Nivritti Nirataha Sarvatropeksha Ko Muniha Kasya Vabrahatim Etam Atma Ramaha Sampayasat. Translation: Sri Saunaka asked Suta Goswami, Sri Sukadev Goswami was already on the path of self-realization, and thus he was pleased with his own self. So why did he take the trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature? Suta Uvacha Atmaramascha Munayo Grantha Api Urukrame Kurvanti Ahi Tu Kim Bhaktim Ita Hambhuta Guno Hari. Translation: all different varieties of Atma Ramas, those who take pleasure in Atma or self-spirit, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Does someone else want to read the next 10?
I can go if no one is.
Sure, Prabhu. Go ahead.
Okay. Text 11. Harer Gunakshipta Matir Bhagavan Bhadarayanihi Adhyagan Mahad Akyanam Nityam Vishnu Janapriyaha. Srila Shukadeva Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadeva, was not only transcendently powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees of the Lord. Thus he underwent the study of this great narration, Srimad Bhagavatam. Parikshitotha Rajarsher Janma Karma Vilapanam Samstam cha Panduputranam Vakshe Krishna Kathodayam. Suta Goswami thus addressed this rishis headed by Shaunaka. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Lord Sri Krishna and topics of the birth activities and deliverance of King Parikshit, the sage amongst kings, as well as topics of the renunciation of the worldly order by the sons of Pandu. Yada mrudhe kaurava shrunjayanam vireshvato vira gatim gateshu rukodara vidha gadam bhimarsha bhagno rudanda dhritarashtra putre bhartupriyam draunir itisma pashyan krishna sutanam swapatam shirashmanshi upaharad vipriyam evatasya jugupsitam karma vigarhayanti. When the respective warriors of both camps, namely the Kauravas and the Pandavas, were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the dead warriors obtained their deserved destinations, and when the son of Dhritarashtra fell down, lamenting, his spine broken, being beaten by the club of Bhimasena, the son of Dronacharya, Ashwadhama beheaded the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi and delivered the heads as a prize to his master, foolishly thinking that he would be pleased. Duryodhana, however, disapproved of the heinous act, and he was not pleased in the least. Mata Shishunam Nidhanam Sutanam Nishamya Ghoram Paritapyamana Tadarudat Vaspa Kalakulakshi Tam Shantavyan Aha Kiri Tamali. Draupadi, the mother of the 5 children of the Pandavas, after hearing of the massacre of her sons, began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjuna spoke to her thus.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Tada, yeah, okay, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead. If you can go ahead, please go ahead.
No, I want to give a chance to everyone. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, no. Okay. Does anyone else want to read the next 5?
Hare Krishna Mataji. This is Krishna. I
Hare
can go.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sure, Prabhu, go ahead.
So I'm starting text 16, right, Mataji?
16, yes.
Tada suchas te pramarjami bhadre yad brahma bandhoho sira atata yanaha gandhiva mukter visikhair upahare tvakarmya yat sannyasi dhaga putra. Translation. O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahmana, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandhiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. Purport. An enemy.
You
Sorry.
don't need to read the
All right.
purport.
Okay, text 17. So is the how are we doing? Just the purports and we just go on, Mataji? How many texts do I need?
Yeah, just 5, or you can even do 10. I mean, it's really up to
5?
you. 5
Okay.
is okay.
I'll
Yeah,
do 5, Mataji. Thank you.
okay.
Iti priyam valgu vichitra jalpehi santa vyati vachyuta mitra sutaha Anvadravad Dumasitra Ugra Dhanava Kapi Dvajo Guru Putram Ratena. Translation. Arjuna, who is guided by the infallible Lord as friend and driver, thus satisfied the dear lady by such statements. Then he dressed in armor and armed himself with furious weapons, and getting into his chariot, he set out to follow Aswathama, the son of his martial teacher. Text 18. Tam apatanam sa vilaksya durat kumara hovidna manarathena paradvarat prana paripsar urvayam yada yavad gamam rudra bhayad yatakaha. Translation. Aswathama, the murderer of the princess, seeing from the great distance Arjuna coming at him with great speed, fled in his chariot, panic-stricken, just to save his life, as Brahma fled in the fear from Shiva. Text 19. Yada saranam atmanam aiksata sranta vajinam astram brahma siro mene atma tranam dvijatmajaha. Translation. When the son of Brahmana, Aswathama, saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using ultimate weapon, the Brahmastra, nuclear weapon. Text 20. Atopasraya silamam sandhye tat samahitaha ajanan api samharam prana krichara upasthite. Translation. Since his life was in danger, he touched water in sanctity and concentrated upon the chanting of hymns for throwing nuclear weapons, although he did not know how to withdraw such weapons. I'll stop here, Mataji. Thank you.
Oh, thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, go ahead.
Text 21. Hare. Tata pradushkrutam teja prachandam sarvato disham pranapadam abhipreksha vishnum jishnuruvachaha. Translation. Thereupon a glaring light spread in all directions. It was so fierce that Arjun thought his own life in danger, and so he began to address Lord Shri Krishna. Krishna Krishna Arjun Vacha. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Bhayankara Tameko Daryamananam Upavargo Samskritehe. Sorry. Arjun said, oh my Lord Shri Krishna, you are the Almighty Personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only. Text 23. Vamadhya Purusha Sakshad Ishvara Prakrute Para Mayam Yudasya Chitchatya Kaivalye Sthita Atmani. You are the original personality of Godhead who expands himself all over the creations and is transcendental to material energy. You have cast away the effects of the material energy by dint of your spiritual potency. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge. Sa eva jiva lokasya maya mohita chetasah vidhaste svena viryena shreyo dharmadi lakshanam. And yet, though you are beyond the purview of the material energy, you execute the four principles of liberation characterized by religion and so on for the ultimate good of the conditioned souls. Tathayam chavataraste bhuvo bhara jihirshaya smanam chananya bhavanam anodhyayanaya cha sakrut. Thus you descend as the incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are wrapped in meditation upon you. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Someone else want to read next?
Mataji, just a small request. Can we do just the translations for the rest of the time?
Translation, yeah.
I know, you know,
I was,
for the
It
time.
is already 7:40, so yeah. Maybe I'll read now, just a translation, so we can make this a little, because of the time, so okay. So text 26. O Lord of Lords, how is it that this dangerous effulgence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? I do not understand it. The Supreme Personality of God had said, know from me that this is the act of the son of Drona. He has thrown the hymns of nuclear energy, Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death. O Arjuna, only another Brahmastra can counteract this weapon. Since you are an expert in the military science, subdue this weapon's glare with the power of your own weapon. Sri Sutta Goswami said, hearing this from the personality of Godhead, Arjuna touched the water for purification, and after circumambulating Lord Shri Krishna, he cast his Brahmastra weapon to counteract the other one. When the rays of the two Brahmastras combined, a great circle of fire like the disk of the sun covered all outer space and the whole firmament of planets. All the population of the three worlds was scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvartaka fire, which takes place at the time of annihilation. Thus, seeing the disturbance of the general populace and the imminent destruction of the planets, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra weapons as Lord Krishna desired. Arjuna, his eyes blazing in anger like two red balls of copper, dexterously arrested the son of Gautami and bound him with ropes like an animal. After binding Ashwatthama, Arjuna wanted to take him to the military camp. The personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, looking on with his lotus eyes, spoke to angry Arjuna. Lord Shri Krishna said, "O Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahmana, Brahma Bandhu, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep. A person who knows the principles of religion does not kill an enemy who is careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, afraid, or devoid of his chariot. Nor does he kill a boy, a woman, a foolish creature, or a surrendered soul. A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise, he will go down by his own actions. Furthermore, I have personally heard you promise Draupadi that you would bring forth the head of the killer of her sons. This man is an assassin and murderer of your own family members. Not only that, but he has also dissatisfied his master. He is but the burnt remnants of his family. Kill him immediately." Sutta Goswami said, although Krishna, who was examining Arjuna in religion, encouraged Arjuna to kill the son of Dronacharya, Arjuna, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing him, although Ashwatthama was a heinous murderer of Arjuna's family members. After reaching his own camp, Arjuna, along with his dear friend and charioteer, Shri Krishna, entrusted the murderer unto his dear wife, who was lamenting for her murdered sons. Sri Sutta Goswami said, Draupadi then saw Ashwatthama, who was bound with ropes like an animal and silent for having enacted the most inglorious murder. Due to her female nature and due to her being naturally good and well behaved, she showed him due respects as a Brahmana. She could not tolerate Ashwatthama's being bound by ropes, and being a devoted lady, she said, "Release him, for he is a Brahmana, our spiritual master." It was by Dronacharya's mercy that you learned the military art of throwing arrows and the confidential art of controlling weapons. He, Dronacharya, is certainly still existing, being represented by his son. His wife Kripi did not undergo a sati with him because she had a son. O most fortunate one who knows the principles of religion, it is not good for you to cause grief to glorious family members who are always respectable and worshipful. My lord, do not make the wife of Dronacharya cry like me. I am aggrieved for the death of my sons. She need not cry constantly like me. If the kingly administrative order, being unrestricted in sense control, offends the Brahmana order and enrages them, then the fire of that rage burns up the whole body of the royal family and brings grief upon all. Sutta Goswami said, O Brahmanas, King Yudhishthir fully supported the statements of the queen, which were in accordance with the principles of religion and were justified, glorious, full of mercy and equity, and without duplicity. Nakula and Sahadev, the younger brothers of the king, and also Satyaki, Arjun, the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, son of Devaki, and the ladies and all others unanimously agreed with the king. Bhima, however, disagreed with them, recommended killing this culprit, who in angry mood had murdered sleeping children for no purpose and for neither his nor his master's interest. Chaturbhuja, the four-armed one, or the personality of Godhead, after hearing the words of Bhima, Draupadi, and others, saw the face of his dear friend Arjuna, and he began to speak as if smiling. The personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, said, "A friend of Brahmana is not to be killed, but if he is an aggressor, he must be killed. All these rulings are in the scriptures, and you should act accordingly. You have to fulfill your promise to your wife, and you must also act to satisfaction of Bhimasena and me." Just then, Arjuna could understand the motive of the Lord by his equivocal orders, and thus with his sword he severed both hair and jewels from the head of Ashwatthama. He, Ashwatthama, had already lost his bodily luster due to infanticide, and now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, he lost even more strength. Thus he was unbound and driven out of the camp. Cutting the hair from his head, depriving him of his wealth, and driving him from his residence, are the prescribed punishments for the relative of a Brahmana. There is no injunction for killing the body. Thereafter, the sons of Pandu and Draupadi, overwhelmed with grief, performed the proper rituals for the dead bodies of their relatives. Thus, and the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the first canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled "The Son of Drona Punished." Hari Om Tat Sat. Okay. Thank you so much for your patiently waiting and while we read the chapter 7. So now, Kishore Prabhu, if you would like to please present your chapter 8 sharings and summary. Hare Krishna.
Okay, let me share. Oh, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll start with the quick prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the next chapter is prayers by Queen Kunti and how Maharaj Parikshit got saved from the Lord. So I'll give a quick summary, and then I have some slides for the glorification of the devotees and the Lord himself. So the summary of this chapter is how the battle is almost ended and how Ashwatthama got some punishment. Not, how Draupadi was such a chaste lady and she just got him with whatever the little one that they can go with. As she felt that how she is feeling now, so she doesn't want the Dronacharya or their parents to feel the same way. And the next, what happens in the his is Pandavas, along with others, they go to Ganges to offer water to their dead relatives, and Lord Sri Krishna and the sages there will begin to pacify them, those who were shocked and affected with the battle of Kurukshetra. So by the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed. Whatever is the kingdom who is supposed to get to the Yudhishthira Maharaj, so that was recovered, and others were punished accordingly. And Lord Sri Krishna also caused 3 well-performed Ashwamedha Yajnas, horse sacrifices for Yudhishthira Maharaj, and then he prepares for his departure. But then what happens in this is as soon as he seated himself on the chariot to start for Dwaraka, Uttara, he saw Uttara hurrying toward him in fear, just for protection. And he later realizes that Ashwatthama, the son of Dronacharya, had thrown the Brahmastra to finish the last life in the Pandava family. And Krishna protects from that Brahmastra using his own personal weapon, Sudarshan Chakra. So then later, Srimati Kunti Devi prayer starts, and Srila Prabhupada says here that reason for Kunti's prayers is the whole prayer of the queen is to convince the Lord to stay back with them, with the Pandavas, and also to express a fragment of glories, of his unlimited glories. And no amount of chosen words is sufficient, as we all know, to glorify the Lord. But although we cannot do that, Krishna is so merciful that he is satisfied by such prayers. And Srila Prabhupada says that is similar to how Father is satisfied even by the broken linguistic attempts of the growing child. And then she also prays in one of the prayers that you have executed all duties yourself. And she asks, are you leaving us today, though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us? Now when all kings are at enmity with us. So we know why that happens. So, but because Srila Prabhupada says that now the Duryodhana and other brothers and other who are enemies to them were dead, but their children and whoever their relatives or friends who are still out there, he points out to the enmity with them. And Kunti Devi even says that, she says, Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi. So that means cut off tie of affection for my kinsman. who are the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. So here Krishna was equally related to both Pandavas and Vrishnis. And so if she thinks like if Krishna stays back with the Pandavas and their paternal side, Vrishnis, would be short of that benefit, his presence. So she is so troubled with those partialities in her mind. So, and Srila Prabhupada says here that Srimati Kunti Devi here doesn't mean to cut off affection for others. It's just mean to cut off the material affection, just not the actual affection for their family members or relatives. So she can serve the Lord without diversion, and that was her prayer. So then the Lord smiled mildly. Mandam Jahasa, it was in Sanskrit, Mandam Jahasa, mild, smilingly. And he accepts the prayers of Kunti Devi and he starts to leave. And then what happens? Maharaj Yudhishthira comes, he stops and he pleads him lovingly to stay back. And what happens? Then Lord accepts that and he stays back. We'll see why he accepted it. And then King Yudhishthira was very unhappy. Maybe that is one reason. But despite instructions by Vyasadeva and the sages present there, and Krishna himself is still unhappy. The reasons for that is like, there are like in the Battle of Kurukshetra, which spans for 18 days, 640 million men were killed, and some hundreds and thousands were missing. That's what were in Mahabharata. So, and also another reason is he's feeling unhappy for that. And also Duryodhana was on the throne. He knows that Duryodhana was on the throne, and he says he was doing well in his administration. These are the two main reasons that he was unhappy. And he gives so many other ways how he was so distressed and what. I will go about that. And then Yudhishthira says he have killed many boys. He's still aggrieved, and he says he have killed many boys, brahmanas, well-wishers, friends, parents, preceptors, and brothers. He lists out all the things. So he's so aggrieved that way, and he thinks the killings was because for the sake of for getting throne or power or status, those kind of things, but. And he thinks that there is no way to get out of these sins, even if he stays in the hell for millions of years. That's how he goes about. And then I'll go to the next is glorification of the Pandavas. I picked up the first slide as the Pandavas because Krishna likes to glorify the devotees more than himself. So here you go. The Pandavas, I mean devotees as well, but especially Pandavas is the first. So the Pandavas, they are completely dependent. That's the whole chapter goes like that. They are completely dependent. And even in the previous chapter, we saw Draupadi, Arjuna, they're all dependent on Krishna. And here, Mother Kunti Devi, she's completely dependent. And Uttara, she's also very dependent. We'll see those examples. So why they are completely dependent? Because even though Lord protects everyone, but he, one who depends completely on Krishna, he especially looked after by the Lord. So it's like the father is more attentive to the little son. That's what Srila Prabhupada says, who is exclusively dependent on the father. That is like how Krishna sees devotees who are completely dependent. And then Uttara says, please protect me, Pahi Pahi Mahayogin. And she says that Ashuddhama's Brahmastra is coming. Then she says, let it burn me personally instead of, or the child inside. But let it burn me personally if you so desire. But please do not let it burn and abort my embryo. This is what she says. And here, Kunti Devi is addressed as Sati. That means chaste, which is also like unalloyed devotion for Lord. So Srila Prabhupada says that one should always look up to Krishna and no other imperfect beings or even demigods for any help. That is how all the Pandavas here are doing unalloyed devotion for Lord. And one of the prayers she does is, she says, I wish that all those calamities would happen, like calamities like whatever she went through, their children went through, Pandavas went through from Duryodhana's and their party. So she wished that all those calamities would happen again and again, she says that. And why she says that? So that they could see Krishna again and again. And for seeing Krishna means that they will no longer see repeated births and deaths. So that touched very, very much to my heart. Like, we see one calamity or one trouble, we run away from it. First of all, we forget about Krishna. And a pure devotee like them, she won that again and again. So there is such a, that's why I just want to glorify them in this way. And for Pandavas, separation was from the Lord was just like the separation of a fish from water. That's what Srila Prabhupada says there. So fish cannot live. The same way they cannot live. And King Yudhishthira, when he later on, with King Yudhishthira, when he pleaded Krishna with loving affection, and the Lord did not deny that he stayed back. So that's the glorification of them. And now we'll go to the glorification of Krishna. So it starts with when they go back to Ganges to deliver the water to the people, to their relations and families who are dead. It says, Sutta Goswami says, Hari Padabja Rajaputa Sarijjale. That means whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. So Sutta Goswami knows, everyone knows there who is Krishna. And even with the dust of the Krishna's lotus feet, the whole Ganges river gets sanctified. And we know that we go to the Ganges water to take a dip and bath in the Ganges, and we get purified. But Ganges herself gets purified with the Krishna's lotus feet. And Pujitai Pratipujitai. This is one of the Krishna's Krishna, how he dealt when he is in this material world. So it says that Pujitai, being worshipped, Pratipujitai, the Lord also reciprocated equally. So Lord Sri Krishna, when he prepared for his departure, he invited the sons of Pandu after having been worshipped by the Brahmanas, headed by Srila Vyasadeva. So the Lord also reciprocated the same greetings to the Brahmanas. We know Lord Sri Krishna is a Kshatriya, and but because of being a Kshatriya, to honor the social order, he is obedient to the orders of the Brahmanas. And Lord never deviated from that customary usages between the four orders of society. And we were reading in our reading group, Canto 3, chapter something 6, but in last week or this week, the four orders of society, how they manifested from the gigantic form Virat Rupa was being explained. And from the mouth, Brahmanas came, from the arm, Kshatriyas, from the legs, Shudras, and I think from the abdomen, maybe Vaishyas, so from the thighs, sorry. So, I was reflecting yesterday or the day before that we desired to come down from wherever we are with Krishna. And because the desire is we want to be independent and Lord it, because we want to enjoy. And now in that summary, in that purpose, Srila Prabhupada says that Shudras cannot be independent of their actions. They are here to serve the higher level castes like Brahmana, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. Whereas we came for being independent, and we are not independent anyways here. So what is the purpose? The purpose is not solved. So we must be dependent on the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada says in one of these purpose in Kunti prayers that we depending in the material world on someone is the misfortune. You depend on your someone else. You can think of anyone, not kids, but anyone else. You're depending on your friend or someone else. We call it misfortune in material world. Whereas in spiritual world, depending on Krishna is the supreme, is the highest goal of our life should be like that. Our highest goal should be depending on Krishna. So, and then Bhakta Vatsala is used quite a few times. That means he is very much affectionate towards his devotees. So we know one example when Uttara ran to him in fear for protection, Krishna took up his weapon, Sudarshana disc, even at the risk of breaking his own vow. So we know that in the battle of Kurukshetra, he is not, he gives a vow that he should not, he will not raise the weapon, but he still did, even though the battle is not ended completely. And he protects from that Ashwadhama's Brahmastra. So Srila Prabhupada says here that Krishna sees the emergency because he's Bhakta Vatsala. He's like, he doesn't follow that, what the other worldly moralists do not break the serious promises, but he does that for the sake of devotees. And then Kunti Devi addresses him as Adokshuja. That means beyond the range of experimental knowledge, which our modern scientist does. So he is beyond that everything. We cannot experiment on Krishna. And Atma Ramaya is the Lord has nothing to reciprocate with other than his pure devotees. So it doesn't, it's not like he doesn't care, but he is equal to everyone, but more to his devotees. And therefore he's called Atma Rama, which is self-satisfied. And Lord is perfect Nivritta Gunavritti. Srila Prabhupada says that because he never becomes attracted. Guna is modes of material nature. So he never gets attracted to the modes of material nature. And Akinchana Vittaya, he is unto the property of the materially impoverished, who are materially poor. So that means it's like spiritually strong, maybe. So he is more, he says, Kunti prayers, one of the prayers says, he is the property of those who are materially impoverished. And then the next one is easily approachable by his unalloyed devotees. So Krishna is easily approachable that way. And we have one prayer that Srimati Kunti Devi prays. It says, Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. That means, my dear Krishna, Krishnaya Vasudevaya. Krishna is a son of Vasudeva. And Krishna is Devaki's pleasure. And he's also boy of Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men there. So Govinda is like pleasure of cows and senses, we know Govinda. So she prays her she does her obeisances that way. So he's very easily approachable by his devotees. That's why the prayer says like all the family or relations and when he descends to this world. And she also prays that, my dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you, the Damodar Leela we all know. And when you committed an offense and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes. And you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. So this is how he is easily approachable to his pure devotees. And the next one is the super soul, Parameshwara, supreme controller. How is supreme controller is as super soul. He's in every living entity's heart. And then we are also reading this Kala, eternal time. So he's the eternal time. He's the supreme controller without beginning and end, the all pervasive, because he's everywhere. And all of this relates to the super soul. So here Kala or eternal time doesn't have a beginning or end. And Krishna is all pervasive as super soul in everyone's heart. And he is the one controlling the destiny of others according to their past good and bad deeds. And we know the example of those two birds sitting on the tree. So eternal time is the witness of all the good and bad actions, and thus resultant reactions are destined by him. So he's watching us. And then Lord also desired that King Yudhishthira be the Bhishma Deva's excellence. Why? It's because Lord, when he is so much aggrieved, Yudhishthira so much aggrieved, Lord, there is reason. Because he is Dharmaraj, he knows what is good and what is bad. He's know all the things, that body and soul, everything, but he's still aggrieved. That is because of the Lord desire. And why? He desired that King Yudhishthira be pacified by the words of Bhishma Deva. That is the next chapter, Bhishma Deva. So that the world could see that Bhishma Deva excelled in all in knowledge, including the Lord himself. So he wanted to glorify Bhishma Deva, his devotee. That's why he made Yudhishthira Maharaj being aggrieved. And Yudhishthira was very unhappy. As super soul of King Yudhishthira was put into delusion, he did not allow the king to be convinced by the words of Vyasa and others, including himself, because he desired that the king hear instructions. Hey, yeah. Sorry for this. Yeah,
It's okay.
come here, sit. So he desired that the king hear instructions from the dying Bhishmadeva. That is the reason, who was another great devotee of the Lord. So this is the glorification of Krishna. And Krishna's mercy on all of us. But here we'll see what are the things that Krishna's mercy has flown to us. So in this chapter, Krishna's grace in Yudhishthira, who was a pure devotee of the Lord, caused his virtuous fame to be glorified in all directions. You know, he caused that 3 Ashwamedha yajnas to be performed by Yudhishthira. And Sutta Goswami says that, like that of Indra, who had performed 100 such sacrifices. So it is compared to 100 Ashwamedha yajnas that Indra has performed. And Indra, he's like thousands of times more opulent than Yudhishthira, but still, because Krishna has caused this, so Yudhishthira's fame is as equal or even more than Indra. And here Krishna is equal to everyone, but he glorifies his devotees this way, you know. And Srila Prabhupada says that similarly, sun distributing sunshine equally, but there are some places of dark where sun cannot reach. So we cannot say Krishna's mercy is not on us because we are not eager to receive that mercy. That is what Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada Maharaj says in one of his Guru Tattva lectures. We are not eager to receive the mercy. The receipt, or it has the potency. We can do even by the Lord's name or fame, place, everything. And the next one is Archa Vigraha form that we all get accessible to, and he is merciful that way to everyone in this world. And also Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in great danger. So this is one more thing. He puts devotees in danger, in such dangers like what happens with Kunti Devi and their sons. And because in that condition, why? Because the helplessness comes to the devotee and he becomes more attached to the Lord. So that is the main reason why he does that. It's not that he wants to play with us, but and then with that attachment, once the more attachment comes for the Lord, then the more success is there for the devotee. And here also, Kunti Devi was shown more favor because Lord Krishna did not save the other children of Devaki. It was she was comparing in her prayer that Devaki and herself, and Srila Prabhupada comments on that. He did not shown more favor to Devaki versus Kunti Devi because he did not save the children of Devaki. Of course, at the end, I see one of the last stories in Children's Krishna's book that he did bring back their 7 sons or 6 sons back. But he did not save them. And this was done because Devaki's husband Vasudeva was living, whereas Kunti Devi was a widow and there was none to help her, Krishna, except Krishna. That is why. And she also prays, my dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poison cake. These are the calamities she went through. And she wanted it again and again from whatever I read before. He has protected us from a poison cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought, the battle of Kurukshetra. And also now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwadhama. So that is how Krishna is he will protect his pure devotees. And then the Lord's name. My Lord, one of the prayers says, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feelings. So advancement in material civilization, that's what Srila Prabhupada says, that we are advancing material civilization. So we cannot feelingly address like, oh Govinda, oh Krishna, that is how, but devotees, pure devotees does that. And Lord's name has such powerful potencies, and helpless man versus materially puffed up man. So we know that helpless man is more. There are 4 categories of devotees who go to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says like one who is in need, one who is in inquisitiveness, inquiring, or intelligent, and one who is in distress. So distress is more kind of he will approach Krishna in very personal way, call out very by crying like that. So that way, Lord is very merciful. And also, the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, appears to renovate the principles of devotional service, comprised of hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, cooperating, and surrendering unto him. So his mercy is unlimited. So even if one of those things we do it perfectly, then we will be there back to Godhead. So that's what we learned. And the next one is the Guru. Obviously, without Guru, the Krishna's mercy, his representation through Guru is how we are getting the mercy of Krishna. Glorification of Srila Prabhupada. This is the last slide. So there was a prayer, Shunvanti, Gayanti, Grunanti, Abhikshnashaha, Smaranti Nandanti Tavehitam Janaha, Taeva Pashyanti Achirena Tavakam, Bhava Pravoha Paramam Padambujam. So Srimati Kunti Devi prays, O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities, or take pleasure in others doing so, like what we are doing now, suddenly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. So this prayer tells us, all of us, if we are in that mood and so sincere, we'll see his lotus feet, if not this lifetime, as sometime, because we are doing the same things what Kunti prayers has. So I reflected on this, that devotees, we as part of ISKCON, we do chant here daily, at least one round, hear from Guru Maharaj or other advanced devotees, or regularly, and we love to repeat the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, at least to our kids, or even taking pleasure on others doing so. Otherwise, why we will join this group and offer our gratitude to Srimad Bhagavatam. So I think we'll all see the lotus feet of the Lord very soon. So my gratitude to Srila Prabhupada is, he brought these principles into ISKCON, and we are very fortunate. And one of the questions in Romapada Maharaj's class, someone asked, like, how can we have faith on Guru? How can we have faith on Prabhupada, let's say? And he says, he quotes that, you put the teachings of Prabhupada, of the Guru under the light of scriptures. If those teachings are transparent, then you can have faith on Guru. So Srila Prabhupada brought his teachings from whatever scripture says. Here is a verse, the perfect example that you hear, chant, and you will see the lotus feet. So not just by his teachings, also his actions. So in Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, he does the way scripture says. It says, I'm going to read that. So he's before coming to US, I know some of you might already know this, but last few days, like a week before, he was in Calcutta, and he met one person whom he met only once. His name is Sri Bhattacharya, and he takes his help to stay those last few days. And Sri Bhattacharya arranges a lot of whatever the classes for him to go to his friends' houses and give those lectures. And then on the way in a taxi with one of the with Bhattacharya, he met before he traveled to USA. So he says, Mr. Bhattacharya comments in his own words in the book. He says, we just took a hired taxi to this place and that place, and he would go for preaching. I never talked to him during the preaching. But once when I was coming back from the preaching, I said, you said this thing about this, but I tell you, it is not this. It is this. I crossed him in something or argued, and he was furious. Srila Prabhupada was furious. Whenever we argued and I said, no, I think this is this, then he was shouting. He was very furious. He said, you're always saying, I think, I think, I think. So what is the importance of what you think? Everything is what you think, but it doesn't matter. It matters what Shastra says. You must follow. I said, I must do what I think, what I feel. This is important. That's what Bhattacharya says. But he said, no, you should forget this. You should forget your desire. You should change your habit. Better you depend on Shastras. You follow what Shastras wants you to do and do it. I'm not telling you what I think. This is important. Srila Prabhupada is saying, I'm not telling what I think, but I am repeating what the Shastra says. So this says that Srila Prabhupada's actions are also the way what Shastras think and his teachings, everything. We are so fortunate again to have his blessings and other acharyas coming through his. So this is how I think we are so merciful through, as I said, through Guru and our eternal Guru, who is Srila Prabhupada. And of course, we will have Krishna's mercy. That is it, I guess. I have few Kunti prayers which I really loved it, but I know for the time thing, I cannot, I maybe not, I don't know if anyone wants to hear, but I really like those prayers too.
Yeah, Prabhu, go ahead, please share. I think we're okay. Everyone okay? We don't have to. I would like to hear him at least.
Okay, I will just do one at least. I will share. It's not sharing, but I can at least say this one. Yeah, I really liked it. This is especially on the day when my grandmother passed away. I was reflecting on this. She was dead. She passed away because of the COVID or something. And then the verse says, Uttaro Vacha, Pahi Pahi Mahayogin, Deva Deva Jagatpate, Nanyam Tvad Pashe, Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. Pahi Pahi, we know that she's talked protect. Na, not Anyam, anyone else. So no one else can protect except you, as you are Abhayam, fearlessness. You are Lord of fearlessness. Pashe, I do see. So Uttara says, the translation, O Lord of Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of mystics. Please protect me, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality. So I was thinking how good it to be going to Krishna for protection, to seek protection like this. She didn't go to her father-in-law Arjuna or whoever the great warriors or the people in Pandavas, they are staying there. She didn't go to anybody, who are all heroes, but only towards Krishna. So because she is a surrendered soul, that's what the glorification of Pandavas, they're all pure devotees. It's like fish in the water, without water. So, and the Lord is here, as it says, is the only shelter of fearlessness for the surrendered soul. One cannot save himself from the cruel hands of death in the material world without having surrendered himself at the lotus feet of the Lord. So one cannot be saved. You know, that death is always waiting for you. And death is inevitable. You cannot escape from that because we are living in the world of duality. So the dual existence of matter and spirit is always there. But in spiritual abode, only the spirit, no matter there. So that's why we say soul is eternal. So I thought soul can go back to Godhead, right? Instead of birth and death cycle, we are in this material world. But why? When it will go back only when you surrender. And even though body is still dying, here we are referring to spirit, not the matter. So how do we get out of this world of duality? We came down to this material world to our desire to enjoy ourselves. I was hearing from Rampada Maharaj in one of the lectures. He says, since creation, he quotes that, since creation, living entities are bewildered by the illusion of duality. Duality here means like happy and sad, love and hatred, wife and husband, etc. So we are in that duality. And due to this, we are accumulating or absorbing fruits of our actions, karma, life after life. And how can we get mercy? How can we go back if you are getting every time, every action has a reaction? So that's what it says in Bhagavad Gita, out of millions and millions, only one may get Krishna's mercy. And of course, we all have our Guru's mercy or Srila Prabhupada's mercy, and we are very fortunate for that. And also Maharaj says that Krishna shows his mercy through his agents. Sat Anugraha. Anugraha is his mercy. Sat means who's his agents, like pure devotees. So other example that we can take, that Narada Muni, he also associated with the saintly people and got his mercy in previous life. So it is very important to have devotee association. Again, coming back to gratitude to Prabhupada, that he brought these principles that we are doing on a daily basis, and we are here right now, and we should be progressing. I hope from this Kunti's prayers we get at least one out of her prayers, and we take a step forward and progress in our spiritual life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. That was very, very beautiful. You had so many great points in your presentation and in your when you were speaking. I know because of the time I can't really go through all the takeaway points. No, it's not it was because we had to read, so that's, I mean, it's still Bhagavatam, so I'm not sorry really, but thank you so much for preparing this, and then it's such a great presentation that you provided so many takeaway points. And one thing especially that I really liked that I want to share is the importance or like how Kunti Devi was asking for these calamities again and again, only because so she can remember Krishna. So I think, as you had mentioned also in Bhagavad Gita, it says that the 4 types of people really go take shelter of Krishna, and one of them is people who are distressed, and that's why Kunti Devi was understanding that and then really asking, because that's where she can remember him, and he's there with them at that point. So that's why it was very important for her. And I don't think we can ever imitate that for sure, because we're not no, at least I know I am not nowhere close to asking like, give me calamities. So even the small calamities I get, I start try to like become bewildered, or like try to take shelter of Krishna's feet and help me get through this. So I don't know how she did what she did, but Queen Kunti's prayers is like one of my best very close to my heart chapters, because it's just everything that she's gone through and what she's asking for and how she's praying. It's just all so great. And Krishna, I loved how you even glorified devotees as well as Krishna. So Krishna is always wanting his devotees to he wants to give his the credit to his devotees. So just like in the battle of Kurukshetra, he could have easily killed. We all know this, but he wanted Arjuna to get the credit. So similarly, how that shows like how merciful he is, because and we always think, I remember one of the things that I had heard in a lecture, that a lot of times we all say that, I cannot go back in this lifetime. I cannot go back in this lifetime. And Prabhupada always says that, one can go back in this lifetime back to Godhead. And the point was, is that we think that our anarthas are, much bigger or than Krishna's mercy, which is not true. So definitely, we need to really surrender and take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, and have that faith in him that he can remove these anarthas. He can make us go back in this lifetime. So, when we have this desire, the strong desire, anything is possible, and he will, 2 things has to happen. His mercy is always there, as you said, right? But we need to be very enthusiastic and eager to receive it. And that is something that we need to understand, because a lot of people say, oh, it's Krishna's will, but we also have to know that it's 2 things, our desire and his mercy. Both together really helps us, come out of this material mode of miseries. So thank you so much. I know I can just go on and
Thank
on.
you,
But,
yes, no, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Anyone else have any realizations, sharings, comments, questions?
Hare Krishna, I would like to compliment my appreciation. It was a very, very detailed, very good presentation by Krishna Prabhu. And I appreciate very much. It was a very inspirational. Your comments make a very, positive note. Very, very good session this was. Thank you.
Thank you, Mother.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Please accept my
obeisances. It was such a very, very, very nice and beautiful summary you did.
Thank you.
I really appreciated that thing.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, thank you so much.
Krishna.
Yeah, I need your blessings. Yes, thank you.
Anyone else have any other comments, questions? If not, we will meet again next week. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Kishore Prabhu. We'll meet again next week at 7:15 Central Time. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva
Hare
cha
Krishna.
Patitanam
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
namo
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 namaha.
Namaste.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Bol.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Jai.